Hello and welcome to SaltWire today for Wednesday, January 18th. I'm your host, Kate Walker. The provincial government held a press conference today to announce actions to improve emergency care in our struggling healthcare system.
Our healthcare system has been neglected for years. For almost my entire career as a registered nurse, government after government of all political stripes has focused on efficiency and cost containment in healthcare, despite calls from experts and healthcare workers that the system was in trouble. They were warned that our workforce would retire en masse. Chronic disease rates were increasing, and our proportion of the population that was elderly would grow. And the lack of proper infrastructure and human resource investments would leave us in the place we find ourselves in today. But nobody listened.
Part of the plan rolled out today aims to improve ambulance response times and offer more places for people to receive care, easing pressure on ERs.
If you're a nurse or a nurse practitioner or a physician or any other healthcare worker who's looking for work, rest assured, I'm looking for you.
A long list of actions to improve the system includes assigning physician assistants and nurse practitioners to provide care in emergency departments, adding a second air ambulance to handle routine transfers for tests and treatment between Sydney and Halifax and Yarmouth and Halifax, allowing ground ambulances to stay in communities more often.
We are convinced that the hours that this will free up in communities, even if we just move 4 patients a day, roughly, that's 4 ambulances from those farther communities away. Then we have to scramble to provide coverage all the way through. So it's not like it's just going to net benefit Yarmouth and Sydney. It's going to net benefit the patient and the entire system.
The government says the recent tragic deaths in Cumberland and Cape Breton have added to the sense of urgency. A man in his 70s suffered life-threatening injuries when he was struck by a car in Halifax this morning. Emergency crews were called to the intersection of St. Albans and Roby Streets just before 7 a.m. Police say the man was crossing St. Albans Street when he was struck by a vehicle turning left onto Roby Street. St. Albans Street was closed and Roby was reopened later this morning. There's no word on the victim's current condition. The recent messy mix of weather has made life even more difficult for those who are unhoused in our city, trying to stay dry in the elements. 29-year-old Daniel Hovey is almost entirely blind, and since September, he's been living in a wooded area bordering Flynn Park at the bottom of Quimple Road, one of 4 homeless encampments set up by the city. The significant rainfall this week has made living in the woods a soaking wet mess.
It's been raining nonstop. We put another tarp up above us. And there's we cut a tree off to use as like a brace, and the thing, with all the wind and everything, blew into the tent. So the other side of the tent, it's all pushed down and in. Like my bed and their bed, everything's soaked.
Hovey shares the tent with his sister, who helps take care of him, and a friend who are all on income assistance. He says since October, the trio has been on a waiting list for housing.
Pretty much they're leaving us to fend for ourselves, but what are you going to take? Somebody with a full-time job or somebody that's on welfare? 2 people that are on welfare.
They're among at least 100 people living outside in Halifax and the Dartmouth areas, according to an Out of the Cold outreach worker. Since September, 147 more people have found themselves chronically homeless in this city. According to the Affordable Housing Association of Nova Scotia, they consider anyone without stable housing for 6 months to be chronically homeless. As of January 10th, that number had hit 627. The North American Indigenous Games revealed their medal designs for the event being hosted in Halifax this summer. The Games will kick off in July after a series of delays due to COVID-19. SaltWire's Brendan Creamer was at the ceremony in Truro and has the details.
The Hampton Inn in Millbrook First Nations was crowded with sports fans on Tuesday afternoon as the North American Indigenous Games revealed their new medal designs for their upcoming events in Halifax this summer. The medals feature the Star Traveller petroglyph, with blue and yellow color along the perimeter. Designed by Ella Scawthorne and Taylor Fern Paul, the two spoke on how the medal was conceptualized.
It kind of just came to me, I think for me, I was inspired by what came to you. And then I saw the potential in that and what I could do with it, to build with it.
The North American Indigenous Games will be taking place in Halifax this year, after several delays due to COVID. NAIG President George Tex Marshall says that the Games offer an incredible opportunity to Indigenous youth.
There is tremendous potential among Indigenous youth, Mi'kmaq youth. However, potential remains dormant without opportunities. This is what these games are about. It's an incredible opportunity for our youth. They have dreams, they have visions, they have aspirations to become better, the best they can. These games will foster those dreams and aspirations that they have and their visions.
Millbrook First Nations will be hosting the Games archery event. Chief Bob Glode spoke of the Games and the importance of supporting athletes.
It's an important part of who we are and the connection to the athletes, because that's what creates individuals and builds character within individuals, is supporting our athletes within our communities. When a community sends our athletes off to compete, that's an important part of them connecting with other athletes, but also other people, and making those connections and bridging and being part of reconciliation.
The Games will take place from July 15th to 25th. This is Brendan Creamer in Millbrook with the SaltWire Network.
It's time now for a glimpse of today's Thinking Out Loud with Sheldon McLeod. Today, Sheldon is speaking with Nurses Union President Janet Hazelton about her reaction to today to the plans to improve emergency care.
How quickly that kind of situation can be put in place, knowing we already have some significant staffing issues.
And we already have it, like the Dartmouth General, we do have a nurse that's assigned to the weight room, and we have a nurse that's assigned to assess patients as they come in by ambulance. So it is, but it's patchwork. So it's in some places and not others. So seeing this applied uniformly across the province is going to be really good. It will depend on what the skill set of the person is that's chosen or that is hired to do that work, because we need someone that has, they may not necessarily have to be a nurse, but they need to be able to do somewhat of an assessment of the patients to be able to be of help, to us. And again, any help is better than none, but we need to be very careful about who gets those jobs and what their expectations are. So if someone says my throat is sore, or, I don't know necessarily, we don't need them to be going to the triage nurse to say, Janet Hazelton's throat's sore. So, because that's not going to ease that workload. So we have to really look at what those roles are responsible for and what the expectations of those roles are if they're not nursing.
And for Sheldon's full conversation, head to the opinion section of saltwire.com. Time now for the Atlantic Sports Wire, presented by Scott Squires.
Holly O'Neill is from St. John's, Newfoundland and Labrador, but she's going to be heading to Iceland playing professional soccer. Holly, congratulations on signing the contract. How does it feel?
Oh, thanks. It feels really good. It's almost still like surreal, if that makes sense. It hasn't fully set in. I'm sure it will once I'm on a plane and on my way there.
IBV is the team and the Pepsi Max League is the league. I know that, it's still surreal and it hasn't sunk in, but I saw the picture of you on Twitter signing the contract. What was going through your mind?
Just, oh wow, I'm going to be a professional soccer player. And then, oh wow, I'm moving to a foreign country by myself.
Congratulations on signing the pro contract with IBV. Good luck in Iceland, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks so much. Talk soon.
In Halifax, I'm Scott Squires for the Atlantic Sports Wire.
Thank you, Scott. On to weather now to see what's coming up in the forecast. We're going to check in now with our weather specialist, Alistair Alders.
Thanks, Kate. Although the cloud cover did dominate for much of the day today, the sun was in the mix at times, which was great to see just because we really haven't had a whole lot of sunshine lately. Unfortunately, not a whole lot either in the immediate forecast, and there is even a bit of snow to talk about. This evening it will be mainly cloudy and we'll have some flurries and showers developing later this evening. The temperature near +1, and +1 is where we start on Thursday morning with mainly cloudy conditions. Mainly cloudy skies forecast throughout the day on our Thursday with a high of 2 degrees. Northwest winds tomorrow afternoon gusting 20 to 40 kilometers per hour. And this snow system I have been talking about really for much of the week will move through on Friday. Low pressure sliding to our south, set to bring some snow to us here in Halifax. Right now, the latest projections showing at least 5 to 10 centimeters, maybe up to 15. However, there is uncertainty. Not all models are on board. Some keep it further south, which means really not a whole lot of snow for us. It's going to be a tricky track, so it's one we need to watch. And of course, I'll have another update here for you tomorrow, and updates anytime on saltwire.com/weather. Kate.
Thank you, Alistair. That's all for now. For more extended video and full online articles, stay tuned to saltwire.com. And you can find us on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. I'm your host, Kate Walker. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.